How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be doing a spec comparison between the LG V60 and the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. We're going to be comparing the specs, some side-by-side pictures, a little bit of video, and just talking about the overall performance of these two devices. So let's go ahead and jump down into it. Before we do, go ahead and consider subscribing to the channel and clicking that bell icon while you're at it. Why the hell not? Let's go. LG V60 versus Samsung Galaxy S23. Both fantastic devices. Of course, everybody loves LG. And let's go ahead and compare them. So as far as size and the overall dimensions of each one of these, the LG V60, definitely a big phone compared to the S23 Ultra. Almost the same size. About 6.67 inches tall from the bottom to the top, 3.6 inches wide, and 0.35 inches thin. So definitely a huge, heavy phone, weighing at about 7.51 ounces. Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and Gorilla Glass 6 on the rear, with your aluminum frame, IP68 water and dust resistant, of course, with your mil STD. 810G compliant drop resistance. Now I don't know what that means. Glass is glass and it will break, but it's definitely a really nice design when it comes down to the LG V60. More of a classic smartphone look from yesteryear, with that single camera module on the back going across the top. Definitely how phones used to look back in the day. Going on over to the Galaxy S23 Ultra, about 6.43 inches tall, 3.7 inches wide, and 0.35 inches thin. It weighs at about 8.25 ounces, so definitely a little bit heavier with the Galaxy S23. Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the front and on the back, with your aluminum frame, IP68 water and dust resistance as well. And you do get your stylus at the bottom, so if you want to slide it out and take some notes, you could do so on here, like hello or hi. Really nice. You could do that with the S Pen. You could also control your camera and things like that. Everybody knows what the S Pen can do. And very nice design, a little bit more of a simplistic design with that individual camera cutout on the back, and that boxier look compared to the LG V60. More rounded look, definitely a little bit more comfortable to hold over here on the V60 than the Galaxy S23, with those rounded edges on the back and that chamfered edge going around the whole device right there. You do get a headphone jack on the LG V60 with your legendary quad DAC. No headphone jack on the Galaxy S23. And as far as button placement, you get your power button in a nice spot on the S23 and on the LG V60, but over here on the V60 you get the volume buttons on the other side, not on top of the power button. And you also get your Google Assistant button. Back in the day we used to do that. Well, in the Galaxy you get your volume buttons a little bit higher up on the Galaxy, but still very nice when it comes down to the size and design of both of these devices. Going on over to the displays, you get a dynamic AMOLED display at 120 Hz, supports HDR10 plus, and all the way up to 1750 nits peak brightness on the Galaxy S23 Ultra. So that is really nice. And like I said, covered in Corning Gorilla Glass Victus, you get an always on display, and that's really cool. 1440 by 3088. And it is 6.8 inches of goodness over here on the Galaxy S23, 500 pixels per inch. And it's a really nice display compared to the LG V60s over here. 6.8 inches, PLED HDR10 plus, 1080 by 2460. You only get a 60 Hz refresh rate on the LG V60, and you can definitely notice that when you're scrolling on here. A little bit smoother, or actually a lot smoother on the Galaxy when it comes down to scrolling with that 120 Hz display. Both of them get bright enough. I prefer it. You also get an always on display on here as well, As far as the fingerprint sensor, it is an optical in-display fingerprint sensor, and it works okay for the most part. It's not the fastest in the world, but it's gotten a lot better compared to the Galaxy S23, which is ultrasonic and definitely a lot faster and definitely placed a little bit higher, which is really nice. The LG V60s, it's a little bit low on the screen over here, so you got to reach down to get to that optical in-display fingerprint sensor. The Galaxy S23 does have facial recognition, while the LG V60 does not. Now, as far as what these guys are running underneath the hood, you get Android 13 One UI 5.1 on the Galaxy. And as far as processor goes, you're running the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Samsung over here on the Galaxy. And this is the 8GB 256 storage. It'll also go all the way up to 1TB storage and 12GB of RAM on the Galaxy S23. You get the Adreno 740 over here on the Galaxy and UFS 4.0 storage. While going on over to the LG V60, you're running Android 13 with the latest updates on the LG with an April security patch, so that's fantastic. You get the Snapdragon 865 processor with 8GB of RAM, 128 expandable storage. Yes, you get a micro SD card slot over here on the LG. And you get the Adreno 650 GPU. Now, this did come in different variants, but here in the United States, it was just 8GB 128. I'm pretty sure you're able to find a 256 variant somewhere else. UFS 2.0 on the LG V60. So when it comes down to processing and speed, the Galaxy definitely going to be a little bit more faster and more efficient, but the LG V60 having that lower display frame rate, definitely going to be really good on battery life, and the processor is definitely a little bit more efficient over here on the LG as well. And yeah, they're both fantastic, no issues when it comes down to performance. They're both very fast and capable devices. You can edit videos, play games, do whatever you want on both of these, and they're just going to do it just fine. Maybe give the win over here to the Galaxy just because it has that newer processor, a little bit more efficient, and just feels snappier with that high refresh rate compared to the LG V60. But the V60 is no slouch. It's still a processing beast over here. You can do anything, and this phone will do it. Now, going on over to the cameras, the LG V60 has a 64 megapixel main sensor on the rear, and then you get a 13 megapixel ultra wide and a 0.3 megapixel time of flight sensor on the back for your 3D sensing. And as far as the front facing camera goes, you get a 10 megapixel front facing camera. The rear can record all the way up to 8K 30 frames per second, of course, with your standard 4K 30 and 60. The front can record all the way up to 4K 30 and 60 as well. And then going on over to the Galaxy S23, you get a 200 megapixel main sensor on the rear, a 10 megapixel periscopic telephoto lens, and another 10 megapixel telephoto lens, and you get a 12 megapixel ultra wide front facing camera. Is going to be a 12 megapixel camera as well. You can record all the way up to 8K on the rear, 24 and 30 frames per second on the Galaxy, and all the way up to 4K 3060 on the front. So really nice to see 4K on both of these on that front facing camera. A lot of people don't do that nowadays. And as far as camera quality goes, you do get a little bit more options on the Galaxy with all of these different focal lengths and zooming. Definitely going to beat out the LG compared to the LG being digital crop and zooming. You don't have a dedicated telephoto lens, which would have been nice over here on the LG. But the pictures on both of these, a lot of people are going to prefer the LG V60 over the Galaxy S23 Ultra, just because a lot of people are diehard LG fans. But let's go ahead and check out some footage on both of these devices, some pictures and a little bit of video. That way you guys can determine which one looks better, the Galaxy S23 Ultra or the LG V60. So let's go ahead and check that out, shall we? Alright, so what did you guys think of the cameras on both of these? Which one looked better to you and which one did the best job? And like I said, it's kind of a toss-up. I like the zooming capability on the Galaxy, while the LG takes a lot more natural shots. You do get manual mode on both of these. Galaxy is going to be Pro Video and Pro Camera, while the LG is going to be manual mode and manual camera. Now the good thing about the Galaxy is you can do Pro Video and Pro Camera on the front facing camera, which the LG V60 you cannot, but you get a lot more options over here on the V60, especially when it comes down to sound and hooking up a microphone to this. You have a lot of gain control and everything compared to Samsung, which just gives you a little bit of settings, Bluetooth and things like that. You can't really use Bluetooth audio on the LG V60, you can on the Galaxy. So as far as that goes, you get a little bit more versatility over here on the Galaxy when it comes down to Pro mode compared to just the rear facing camera of the LG V60, but both of them take fantastic shots. I don't think you'd be disappointed with either one of these when it comes down to pictures and video. Now both of these devices do have stereo speakers, so they both sound really good. You get Dolby Atmos on Samsung, while on LG you do get your LG 3D sound engine. Both of them sound really good. And as far as speaker quality goes, we'll go ahead and play some music for you, that way you guys could see the differences in these speakers. But you do have LG does have a headphone jack with that legendary quad DAC, so if you want to hook up some nice pair of headphones or plug this into your auxiliary port in your car, the LG V60 is going to be way more superior in audio compared to the Galaxy S23, which just uses Bluetooth. But you get a lot more different options on the V60 when it comes down to tweaking that audio when using wired headphones. And of course you can do, of course, your wireless stuff on here as well. And you do get 3D sound engine, which actually does a pretty good job, especially in cinema. While over here on Samsung, you get your auto, movie, music, and voice. And then you also do get an equalizing option over here with that Dolby Atmos and your adapt sound, which will boost audio depending on age right here on the bottom. So you can tweak that as well if you want to do so. So a little bit different settings on both of these. So let's go ahead and check out the audio quality on both of these devices. Alright, so what did you guys think of the audio quality on the LG V60 and the Samsung Galaxy S23? Which one sounded better? And comment down below on which one you choose to have better speakers. Now, as far as battery goes, both of these devices do have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, so that is fantastic. You get 25 watt wire charging on the LG V60. You also get wireless charging as well. You also get wireless charging as well with Bluetooth 5.1. While over here on the Galaxy, you get 45 watt wired charging, and you get 15 watt wireless charging, and you also get reverse wireless charging, so you're able to charge a pair of earbuds or a Galaxy Watch on the rear, while the LG V60 does not have that reverse wireless charging. You do get Bluetooth 5.3 over here on the Galaxy S23. And as far as battery life goes, they are pretty similar when it comes down to longevity. Like seriously, give or take an hour or so, these devices are definitely 2-day devices. Maybe the Galaxy S23 might last a little bit longer than the V60, but it's not by much. They're both fantastic. The Galaxy S23 with that more efficient Snapdragon Gen 2 chipset is definitely really good and really efficient compared to last year's. So definitely a little bit more battery life, but the V60 is not far behind when it comes down to longevity. Definitely 2-day devices. As far as charging goes, the Galaxy is just a little bit faster than the V60, and of course the V60 has been plagued with charging port issues, which I do have on this device. So more than likely you're going to be charging this device wirelessly unless you're able to fiddle with that cable to get this to charge. So definitely a shame on the V60s with that issue with the charging port. Comment down below if you have any issues. I do have that issue on mine. So as far as colors go on both of these devices, the Samsung came in a wide variety of colors: phantom black, green, cream, lavender, graphite, sky blue, lime, red. A lot of different colors over here on the Samsung, while the LG V60 just came in 2 colors: classy blue and classy white. Of course, this being obviously the classy blue color, and I definitely prefer the build quality on the Samsung with that matte finish on the back compared to LG's shiny, very fingerprint and smudgy finish on the rear. Taking a look at the hardware on both of these, as you can see right here, very nicely designed on both of them. LG definitely being a little bit more of a blunt phone with those sharper edges, and just really thick over here with this old school design on the LG V60s compared to Samsung's more boxier, sharper corners on the Samsung. At the bottom you do get your S Pen on the Galaxy with the speaker and a couple of mics. The LG V60 you get a speaker, mic, charging port, and your headphone jack. While over here on the other side you do get nothing on the Samsung, while the V60 you get your microphone, you get volume rockers, and your Google Assistant button. Up top, another microphone for the V60, your SIM tray and micro SD card slot. All over here on the Samsung you just get a microphone. And taking a look at the back, some LG branding right here at the bottom, and V60 right there up top. Taking a look at the camera modules, really nice difference right there. Samsung, you get Samsung branding at the bottom, nice camera rings on the rear. So yeah, design preference, it's definitely up to you. The LG being a bit more of a tank over here with this more robust feel on there, and this is definitely a huge phone. I'm serious. Throw this at somebody, they will not survive. All over here on the Galaxy, might survive, but it just feels like it might break a little bit more than the LG V60, but still fantastic on both of these. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this comparison of the LG V60 and the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. That is quite alright, and I will see you guys next time here on Sick Eric Tech. Peace.